can return to Hong Kong now, where demonstrators have been attempting to storm government buildings on the 22nd anniversary of the territory's handover to China. The rally is taking place, even as we speak, on the territory's streets, are the latest in a series of protests in response to a controversial extradition bill that will allow those extraditions to happen in relation to mainland China. The government has since suspended the bill. There have been apologies from Carrie Lam, the chief executive, but as you can see, the demonstrations persist. Joining us now, the director of the School of Oriental and African Studies, the China Institute there, Steve Sang. Steve, welcome to you. Just in terms of the bald numbers, compared to the huge crowds, numbering many, many hundreds of thousands last month, this seems smaller.
Yes, it is clearly smaller number of people turning out than previously. And the resort to violence is by a very, very small number of people indeed amongst the demonstrators.
There's always that danger, isn't there, that when you have a very large group of demonstrators, the lion's share of whom are entirely peaceable, that when things do turn violent in the hands of a small minority, those are the images which make it around the world, and China is likely to make something of it.
Yes, this is something which I think the Chinese government will watch with a degree of concern, not only because of the use of violence by a small number of demonstrators, but also because some of the slogans being put forward, which are now directing more against China than simply against the failure of the chief executive in Hong Kong, Carrie Lam. This is something that will make a difference from the perspective of Beijing.
In particular, what might Beijing be suspicious of? I mean, presumably we're talking about pro-democracy slogans that they may be chary of.
The pro-democracy slogan is something that Beijing will be much more concerned about than the withdrawal of the extradition bills. The use of images that are uncomplimentary to President Xi Jinping is something which will also be watched very carefully in Beijing. Making it personal is very, very unwise among protesters in Hong Kong.
Because why? Because he would take it personally?
Well, he would take it personally, and the people working for him will take it personally on his behalf. It's one thing for the Chinese government to simply not withdraw support from the chief executive of Hong Kong, Carrie Lam. Is a very different matter if the personal authority and standing of President Xi Jinping is being challenged.
Yeah, that's interesting. Is it the office of president or him personally, this idea of personal denunciation, such a part of the warp and weft of politics in Western democracies? Is it actually the office of the office he holds, or the personal caricaturing of him that would be so offensive?
It is very much the personal caricature of Xi Jinping that is the issue. The office of the state president really is not such a big issue in China. That is much more a ceremonial position. And in fact, in the original Chinese language, the title of the office is not even president, it's chairman of the People's Republic of China. The English translation is being used as president in order to make it easier for Western media to project him as the leader of China.
Steve, presumably every anniversary of the handover from 1997 is used as an occasion by pro-democracy activists to look afresh at whether that idea of one country, two systems is actually working.
Absolutely. But on the other hand, the demonstrations in Hong Kong historically have always